Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Varun, and this week I'm joined by Ashwin, and we've got a lot of cricket to talk about, India men and India women. Ashwin, how are you doing?
Man, pretty good. It's hard. It's just so hard to say this. I'm a little heartbroken at falling just a little bit short of a phenomenal gold medal, what would have been a phenomenal gold medal. But at the same time, you have to try to, and we'll talk about all the details, but you have to try to wrap your head around. If somebody had told me even 3 weeks ago, India would have got a silver medal in the Commonwealth Games, I would have been over the moon, right? And I'm getting too far ahead of myself, but not top 3 ranked in the world. I think India's women's team is 4th right now in T20s. Australia is first. It feels like sometimes by probably margins of 1,000. Like nobody feels like they can even come close. And the fact that Team India came so close and just fell short, it's heartbreaking to miss the gold, but it's also incredibly positive to win a silver. So overall, very positive.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll get into it. But yeah, congrats to the India women's team for getting that silver medal. Right, for us, it's a big thing. I also know the India women's hockey team got bronze recently. All the wrestlers have done really well. There was in athletics also. I mean, it's been great. It's been a great run for India, and let's not forget Australia and England are part of these games too, and we know they're stronger, right? They've historically been stronger, and I can't remember the number when I checked last. India was 5th. So kudos to them, man. Like that is really something. But coming to the cricket, let's talk about the semi and final, and then let's do a little bit of maybe comparisons, Ashwin, to if this was the men's team that kept coming second, would we have been as encouraging and or would we have called for change?
The men's team hasn't won a tournament since 2013, right? It's 2022
exactly now.
And
I think between the men and women's team, I think since 2013 there's been no tournament, right, that India has been able to to bring home. Now don't doubt the fact that our profits, BCCI profits, have gone through the roof. So
yeah, those nothing to do
with nothing to do with money here, but it's just that tournament. But let's talk about that semi-final, England versus India. India bats first, 164 for 5. Smriti Mandhana just killed it, man. Like her Basra was 250.
You're back to Basra again. Just non-stop on Basra.
I've got a lot of positive feedback, but 61 of 32.
You've got a lot of feedback. I don't know if it's all positive.
I've got a lot of feedback from friends who just generally encourage this kind of nonsense.
Yeah,
so it's fun for that. But yeah, Ashwin, Smriti Mandhana 61 of 32. Shefali Verma just had to play that anchor role, which you love for some reason. And then Jemima, 44 of 31. Harmanpreet looked solid. She takes time to get off the mark. And for the first 10 balls or so, then she hit some beautiful shots, 2 4s, a 6, but just couldn't push it through. 164 for 5. Talk us through that. Was that always going to be enough? For me, I personally was a little bit scared.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't always going to be enough, right? Like an England side with Nat Siver, Amy Jones, Danny Wyatt, some of the unbelievable players. England has broken India's hearts before in a limited overs World Cup final match, right? So anything was possible, right? In these knockout matches, especially when there's a medal. So the way this was structured, it's a semi-final, right? A win would have guaranteed a medal, either silver or gold. A lose means you still have a shot at a medal and at a bronze medal, but you have to play one more game, right? We now know that India ended up winning. England unfortunately fell short to the New Zealand women's side in that bronze medal match, so went home without a medal. But yeah, I think this sounds like the most cliched thing for anybody to say, so it's probably not as much fun as Basra and stuff. But you rely on 2 thoughts on India's batting innings, right? You rely on your big players to step up when those really big moments come in, right? And seeing Smriti, who has so much experience, step up and batted almost 2 runs a ball, to your point about her Basra, was stunning. And then, yeah, I mean, Harman has had a phenomenal World Cup. Shefali, by and large, Commonwealth Games, excuse me. And Shefali, by and large, has had a really good run. And neither of them had a great day today in the semi-final. But Smriti stepped up. And then Jemmy. Let's talk about Jemmy for a second, because she was she's a friend of the podcast. She's been on our show before. If you haven't listened to that episode, I think it was 2020 when we had her on, and just a great story. So cool to hear from her. Such a humble, down to earth cricketer. Great story. But Varun, there's a lot. Yeah.
And she had stopped playing in the middle, right? For a while, she got dropped.
She got
Is
dropped.
This kind of like her comeback?
Yeah, it sort of is. There's a lot of people who believe Mithali probably, and it's still going to be controversial, but Mithali overstayed her welcome or her time that she should have been playing for a little bit longer. That kept somebody like Jemmy or Jemima out of the side, right? So that, again, that's controversial. That's going to happen with every generation. There's always one player who probably stretches and stays a little too long. There's unending parallels with the men's team, but it's great to see her come back and have a great tournament and step up when the going gets tough. I mean, in the final, she was really battling through a lot of pain as well and still batted well. So in the semi, great knock. I mean, 164.5 is just on the cusp of doable, but not a guaranteed win.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you couldn't help but see like a bit of, that Sehwag type streak in Smriti. You could see the calm, composed Harman, and Jemmy, man, just her offside shots were phenomenal. I mean, for me, my baby was sleeping and I got to watch 80% of this game, and it was excellent. Like, it was phenomenal. And just another a great advertisement for why we all need to be watching this form of the game a lot more. And then, I mean, totally like out of off brand, if I might say so. Renuka Singh. Renuka. Where did I say Renuka?
I was like, Renuka. You channeled your Danny Morrison.
Yeah, I did. I've got some nice Danny stuff towards the end there, so I've been in that kind of zone. But
Renuka.
she went for over 10 and over. Right.
I saw an interesting post that said,
I mean, yeah.
I saw an interesting post that said this player has now, by the way, she goes by Thakur, which I thought was interesting, which I didn't realize until I was watching the commentator, Renuka Singh Thakur, which I was like, gosh, I'm going to get some crap about Shardul for this one. But she picked up 4 wickets twice, I think, earlier in the tournament. And and so this is one of those that, like, you have an off day, you don't, like, it's fine. Right, you've really pulled your weight so far. Arguably the best bowler in the tournament, even though India didn't win. So anyway, people were feeling bad that she couldn't do it again in the semi, but had an unbelievable tournament, and everybody's allowed one off day after that kind of performance.
Yeah, and so what ended up happening is that Deepti Sharma picked up 1 fantastic 4.5 economy rate. Sneh Rana picked up 2 at, again, very good economy rate of 7, and there were 3 runouts. Right, so well done to India for kind of keeping their cool and composure in a semi-final game, because those runouts really helped turn the tide with set batters all getting out run out, right? And Ashwin, just that Sneh Rana at the end, how good was she?
Yeah, unbelievable. You and I, me and DJ were messaging on the group. DJ's on vacation in a safari somewhere and has been finding ways to get just enough internet and stream these matches. So kudos to him for watching. But yeah, 2 things quickly. One, when Nat Siver was out there, right? Big captain of the side, unbelievable player, batting at a run of ball. She was playing what I would call a very Dhoni-esque innings, just saying, I'm going to be here, take it deep. And what was amazing, with 7 or 8 balls left in the innings, she, hit the ball towards kind of deep mid area. And I think Smriti, who had an unbelievable innings today, was fielding, and she took her on for the second. She said, I'm going to try to take 2, get back on strike for the last ball of the over, and see if I can back myself. And unbelievable throw, right? This is after there was already 2 runouts in the innings. Smriti fires in this incredible throw right at the wicketkeeper's end, and Nat Siver gets run out. And at that point, you think, this is what makes the difference, right? It's a game of margins. She's batting on 41 of 43 balls. That throw made the difference and ultimately won India the game, I think.
Yeah, it was excellent. Like, India won by 4 runs, and I thought this is going to go the same way that we've been going so far in semifinals. But well done, Team India. A lot of hype, a lot of commotion around the final against Australia. I was envisioning that the team gets Shah Rukh Khan to do a little speech before the start of the game, because that's what we're kind of all remember Shah Rukh Khan for with women's sports. But it just, the gap is just too big, right? Australia, it almost feels like, for a lot of us growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, it's like when you play Steve Waugh's team, you or even Ricky Ponting, right? You go in thinking that if we win, it's a big upside, but the odds of you winning are low. And I think it was the ODI World Cup or a previous World Cup where Australia beat India by 9 runs, and the same thing happened yesterday again. Australia beat India by 9 runs. I mean, yeah, I don't want to really go through the scorecard overall. 161. Now, this was a target set by Australia, which was very, very close to exactly what happened in the semi-final. And so 161 was always going to be game on. But Ashwin, talk us through India's chase, like the all too familiar collapse. We've been seeing it too much. While everyone from Harsha Bhogle to Wasim Jafar on Twitter, everyone came out to support. I don't know if you saw Mohammad Azharuddin's tweet. He was kind of like, rubbish batting, same collapse as before, unacceptable kind of thing. And maybe that's the truth, but you probably should have been more supportive against this Australia team. But yeah, walk us through the chase.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing, a lot to deal with. Like I said before, you need the big players to step up. And this time the skipper did, right? Harman stepped up, played an incredible knock, 65. Looked like she would take the team home, and unfortunately perished just at the wrong time, I think, with about 3.5, 4 overs to go. And ably supported by Jemmy, who made 33 and a run a ball. But, at that point, that was the role she needed, right? India didn't really fall behind the asking rate too much at any point. It always looked within reach. And yeah, unfortunately, just couldn't keep up. I mean, in the first match, in the group stage, I guess it was the first match of the tournament, Australia was on the ropes against India. They were 4 down quickly, thanks to Renuka, who picked up all 4 of the first few wickets. And then Ash Gardner walks in at like 7 or 8 or something and takes the game away from us. Unfortunately, this time Ash Gardner takes the game away from us with the ball, right? Picking up not only Shafali early, but then getting Harman and Pooja Vastrikar, who looked like they were the people that needed to take the team home. So a couple of other interesting things. Tanya Bhatia picked up an injury behind the stumps when the ball popped up, hit her helmet. And so they got to bring in Yastika Bhatia as a concussion substitute, which arguably on paper, she's a better batter, which, could have, if India had won, I can imagine there being some controversy about this. Obviously, she wasn't able to do it on the day, and India fell 8, 9 runs short. The bigger controversy I want to talk about is the inclusion, and I don't know how much you followed this, the inclusion of Talia Mcgraw. So before the game, she tests positive for COVID. And they flag it, and the Commonwealth Games officials and the Cricket Australia officials and everybody say, it's cool, let's just, she'll just play. And I think they're like, all right, I guess if you take a catch, just don't run and hug your teammates. And I have so many questions. On the one hand, how did we go from this disease being like isolate and lock yourself up in a room for 2 weeks to, yeah, if you catch the ball, just don't hug your teammates after, you can still play. On the other hand,
is that what they actually said? I thought you were joking.
They said Cricket Australia has agreed to let her play with a series of protocols and rules, and that will enable it to be safe for everybody. I mean, what are you going to do? She was bowling. She bowled. She took a catch. You're touching the ball. You're just, I guess, standing alone in the outfield and celebrating on your own instead of like. It's absurd to me. Now you can sit here and argue.
Why did it happen though? Like, was it a Commonwealth
she apparently didn't have symptoms. She didn't, and something about the game's officials and Cricket Australia collectively ruled that she should play. Now, again, you can argue she didn't contribute with either the bat or the ball, but I think there are a lot of people upset, and there's parallels being drawn. This is a country that wouldn't let Novak Djokovic go in to defend his most successful Australian Open tennis format because he wasn't even vaccinated. He didn't have COVID at the time. He just wasn't vaccinated. Here, you're putting a player who has COVID on the field to put 11 Indians and 10 other Aussies at risk. And so anyway, I don't know what your take is on it. Again, you could argue she didn't contribute much, and so it didn't affect the output. You have somebody like Elise Perry who's sitting on the bench who may have contributed more. And so I don't know if it affected the net outcome, but it wasn't a great look.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels odd when you've got, I mean, cricketers all over the world not being able to play because they've got COVID. Here, somebody's tested positive, maybe no symptoms, but it's just not on. That's why I was really surprised as well.
And why did she test?
Yeah, why did she test? Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
why is Cricket Australia testing
I'm
you? If you're saying, oh, chalo, it's positive, no problem, still play, then just don't test
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I mean, there must be protocol to test before every game, but I agree. What's the point of testing, then telling us and then saying she's going to play anyway?
Yeah.
That's weird. And yeah, as an Indian fan, Mcgraws have not treated India well in semis and finals.
Mcgraw
So I
and
would have been very
Healy's.
happy.
Just
Yeah, I would have been very happy to see her not play. But anyway, luckily for us, it didn't kind of affect the outcome of the game. But kudos to Australia. Yeah, like I said, they're just so far ahead of everyone else that it's it's going to be tough to catch up. But well done to the India women's team.
I think my closing thought there, I know we have to take a break, is the parallels you like to draw in the 2013 and this Australia Invincibles and all that is the difference we've talked about many times on this show is that like the Indian women have not been in these pressure situations enough. They've not had enough game time. They haven't, like the Australian women's have a women's big bash. It was the first women's league. Like the men have it, right? There's a reason India's men's team can field 3, 4, maybe up to like 5 quality 11s in T20s that can be beating teams like the West Indies right now, is because of the depth you've created. We haven't invested in that, and I know there are a lot of people out there you really gunning to use results like this. I mean, gosh, if all these women had played multiple years of women's IPL finals where you had to chase down totals in the last over, maybe this task wouldn't have felt daunting. But they haven't had the opportunity to do it, and so it was too much today. Whereas the Australian women have been in this situation before. So that's all.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And hopefully the viewership numbers were very high to help justify some of these things in the future. On that note, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and do something a little interesting. We're not going to run through each of the 4 T20s, but we're going to do more like a report card on the overall West Indies T20 tour. So we'll be back after this break.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. Varta Lab is back with its 4th season. Join Akash Mehta and Naveen Narona as they talk to a range of guests with funny and insightful anecdotes. Don't miss their first episode with actor Vishal Malhotra. On Future Proofing, Eklavya is joined by Dr. Pawan Rane. They discuss the role of the metaverse in healthcare. On Simplified, the hosts discuss how technical breakthroughs will help the viewing experience of the upcoming FIFA World Cup. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus talks to actor Sunny Kaushal. They talk about his early days in theatre, his breakthrough performances, and belonging to a film family. And on the Musafir story, solo traveler Ayush gives us a glimpse of the hill town Kannur and his famous toy train. I'd like to remind you all about our merchandise once again. We got some amazing stuff out there with more coming soon. But go to the IVM Podcast website and check out our collection of t-shirts. You have to click on the shop tab and we'll take you to our partner Grow 91's website. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Hey, you want somebody to talk to your shows about, right? So talk to them about them. Also, don't forget to rate us on any platforms you're listening to us on. And remember, you can check us out on YouTube. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, Bode Lifestyle, Small Case, Capgemini, and Intel vPro. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome back from the break. Ashwin mentioned one thing at the end of the previous segment, which is depth of the India men's team. And we're going to start talking about that depth because you didn't have your key players, Kohli, Bumrah, Jadeja, Rahul, yet Rohit Sharma has come off with, I think, the 8th consecutive T20 bilateral series win, convincing win with 4-1, beating the West Indies at home. It's been a remarkable tour from the perspective that you've been chopping and changing. You've had guys who may not even make the squad for an Asia Cup or a World Cup that is coming up in the next 2 months. Yet you see them go out and just do the job so professionally and come back with these phenomenal results. So India won 4-1. Let's not run through each T20. Let's talk a little bit more about the guys who played. And Ashwin, maybe we'll do it this way, that we'll talk 1 or 2 sentences about what we thought about their performance and give them a score out of 10, let's say. And at the end, I also want to call out that basically, I think this is the end of that experimentation phase, right? Where you've got like 30 players playing T20s. I think with the Asia, I think let's look at our journey from now till the World Cup. You've got an Asia Cup starting in 20 days on 28th August or 27th August. You've got then somewhere between 6 to 8 ODIs combined between versus Australia and South Africa at home, and then the T20 World Cup starts. So I think this chopping and changing, I think the experimentation is coming to an end now. I think for the Asia Cup, you're going to see our strongest kind of squad go and start getting that match practice together. But yeah, Ashwin, let's talk. Let's do this quickly because there's a lot of players to get through. Let's do Rohit Sharma first. Thoughts?
What am I scoring on? Is it like performance in this series alone?
I think just gut. Yeah, on this series alone. Like,
I mean, he will 100% play for Team India, right? No question about it. I think he made 108 runs in the series at 36, basically one good innings. But yeah, no question about it. 7 out of 10. Not his best series, but no question he'll play.
Yeah, I'm going to give him 8 out of 10 just because of his attacking nature. Like, he was hitting a lot of sixes in the power play. I think he's changed his approach to the game a little bit. And I'm going to give him credit for that. The numbers that you mentioned don't justify an 8 on 10, but I think it's partly captaincy, partly the change in nature.
There's one good innings, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, it's that aggression and the get going from the start, kind of capitalizing off the power play. All of that is the reason I do that. It actually, now that I think about it, seems harsh. Let's go with 7 on 10 for him. Sky, the new opener, we discussed this last time, doesn't make any sense.
He has apparently opened for the Mumbai Indians. I didn't look at the stats, but I remember him.
Yeah, he has, and he's batted up top, I'm sure, even for KKR and stuff. So he has opened. That's not the debating. Like, that's not the issue. The issue is you finally found a number 4, a position where you've been struggling for 6 years, I think, right? To find somebody.
Pretty much.
You found him, and then you pushed him up top. So let's just go with the thought that the more number of balls he plays, the better practice he is, or the better prepared he is for that World Cup. No doubt, 9 on 10 for me. Yeah. Some of his shots were amazing.
Yeah, 9 on 10 for T20s, 1 on 10 for ODIs. That was Sky's series for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, so makes up 10 on 20. Well, that's true. That's
total score of 10 is all you need to say, right?
Yeah, but we've got a T20 World Cup coming up, so this is a good situation. Very quickly, just Kishan, since we used him, I think in just one match up top.
I think he made 11 off 13 balls, and it's hard. It's tough, man. Yeah.
Will you give him minus, like negative?
I don't know. It's so hard to give a guy one game because then that's all you see, and like. I mean, we're going to come to Iyer, who had arguably a pretty poor series, but a phenomenal last match. Yeah. But he made 64 or something. So, 2 and 3.
Okay, let's just put it this way.
Can I put
Kishan
NA for Kishan?
Yeah, you can, which basically means he's out of the squad, right? There's no place for him in the squad, especially since DK and Pant are your keepers.
And then arguably Samson slightly ahead, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's quickly discuss Samson also. So let me give my take. My take is that Samson and Kishan are just not in the they're not in the picture for Asia Cup or World Cup. I think if either of them had kind of like break the door down, even one innings, like if they did 100 of some 60 balls, 50 balls, you couldn't have kept them out, but they've just done okay. Like, and so you can't help but think that there's 2 ways, right? One is they've wasted a spot of somebody who could have probably performed, but at the same time, you needed to go through this. They're definitely as part of the setup for the next few years, but in the immediate 2 months, I don't see them traveling as part of any squad.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Rishabh, DK, which is amazing. Rishabh wasn't in the T20 setup for a while, but Rishabh, DK, and then Rahul walks back in and he can don the gloves if absolutely needed. So
yeah, exactly. All right, which brings us to the last batsman in the top order, which I would say is Shreyas Iyer. Now you talked about him. Give us your report. You give us your report. I don't want to bias.
I was trying to look at the math. So he made 64 off 40 balls today, which means he made 32 in the rest of the 3 innings, right? So he had 3 bad innings, but today when he was hitting, he looked so fluid and he looked like the Shreyas Iyer of old who played captain the Delhi Capitals, etc. So man, I don't know, 5 out of 10, middle of the pack when you have 1 great innings, but you have, I guess it's a little unfair that Rohit also had 1 great innings and 3 poor ones, and I gave him 7. For Sky, I think for sure. Excuse me. I'd say probably 5 out of 10. Just one phenomenal innings, but you don't get 3 chances to fail in a World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to give him a 1 or 2, but the last innings has pushed me up to like a 4 on 10. I don't know, man. Not like I got some great messages from friends before the last game saying Iyer is going to be practicing strike rotation for the 2023 ODI World Cup in this series and stuff, right? Like he the short ball troubled him. He has been going at a strike rate of about 100. He's just not able to find the boundary. So for me, like, Iyer is a great replacement for Kohli, Rohit, or Rahul. But when you've got those 3 guys, let's just put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in Australia around the time with these COVID protocols where somebody gets COVID, he's rushed into the squad, but I don't see him going.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's on the fringe.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm not going to, the next 2 are very easy, right? I don't think we need to rate them. Rishabh Pant and Hardik Pandya. Both of them kind of fighting for the vice captaincy spot. I heard Hardik is a little bit ahead in the race just through what I read.
And through the fact that in that 5th match when Rohit was rested, Hardik walked out of the captaincy.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Even though Rishabh actually batted well, but
yeah, no need to read anything. That's actually the sign, right? So, but then Rishabh didn't play that match. So, lot of interesting stuff going on there. But Ashwin, anything to add on Hardik and Pant? Like Hardik, let's not talk about because there's no discussion. Does Pant play or in the 11, or is Pant going to be in the squad and it's going to be taking a call based on his form?
I think it's the latter. I think based on he's a form player, he's a momentum player. I think Pant can slot in. If you are giving slots to Rohit, Kohli, and maybe Rahul, then Pant's erratic kind of start hitting big from the first ball, fall over, lose one hand off the grip ball, that type of cricket works well. If you are trying to go with a much more aggressive side where you have Kishan, Samson, Sky type of folks instead, then I think Pant is just one more. And net, I think he plays if his form stays good, but he's in the team to play a more aggressive role than any of the other guys, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good. I think spot on. He's in the squad. He will go. Let's talk about, I told you my Danny Morrison is going to come out, right? Let's talk about Duda. Duda is the wild card entry for
Duda? Why do you call him Duda instead of Hooda?
Why? The Hooda. Like the Hooda. Duda.
Okay.
Deepak Hooda, man. I know you discussed with Rohan, our guest, on a couple of weeks back. What's the deal, man? Like, I feel like he's peaking at the right time. He's doing all the right things. My gut feel tells me he's going to be in the squad.
I agree. I think he's going to be in the squad. I don't know how many games he's going to get. And that's one of those like wrong generation. In a different generation, he may have been one. Like he has the talent to be one of the all-time greats, right? Like he has just wrong place, wrong time, didn't always get his opportunity, didn't always find a way in. When he did, he got his chances, then he got injured and didn't get a chance. Then there's a lot of cases like this you see, unfortunately, in the world of cricket, especially with Team India that has all the depth. But yeah, Hooda is an unbelievable striker of the ball. He does give you that option with the off-spin as well, right? Which is interesting because right now you have Jadeja, Hardik, of course, then you have a Jadeja, then you have Akshar maybe, and you have Hooda. Jadeja and Akshar are bowlers who bat a little. Hooda is very clearly a batter who bowls a little, but it's interesting that balance he gives you is also very, very worth considering.
Also, Jadeja, when he bowls left arm off spin with 80% right-handers in a team, that's also leg spin, right?
I mean,
for a right-handed.
Yeah, it's the ball's going over.
So yeah. So basically, you got Chahal and Jaddu, who are pretty much like, we'll talk about the bowlers. Hooda can give you that off-spin option. They look to attack him. Australia, the grounds are big. I mean, I think if he plays, he's going to play a role with both bat and ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably our wild card and surprising, man, how the world works, because you wouldn't have put him in the setup 2 months ago, right? Yeah. And now we're kicking out Kishan and Samson and even Iyer and saying Hooda's going to go. So kudos to him for doing well.
Some of it really quickly would be Virat used to generally prefer specialists. He'd have 6 batsmen, 5 bowlers, nobody who could do both. It'll be interesting to see if Rohit with Hardik, with Jadeja, with Akshar, with Hooda is starting to lean more a little. He gave Iyer the ball not long ago, Shreyas, who to bowl some leg spin, right? Like it'll be interesting to see if he starts to value the all-rounder more.
Yeah. And then talking about the all-rounders, Jadeja, definitely in, no discussion, probably playing 11 for sure for us. Akshar Patel, do you think he goes?
And he picked up 5 wickets in Series 4 in one game, I think it was. So I don't think he goes unless there's an injury to Jadeja. I think he's a very clear backup, and he deserves that, but I don't think he travels to
So
the
he's
UAE.
basically got holiday booked for Australia in October.
I'm still talking about Asia Cup. I'm like, I don't know if he goes to the UAE even, but Asia Cup pitches will support him better. So backup.
Okay, cool. So probably not in the squad. Dinesh
I like
Karthik,
how we're 80% of the way through the squad. We stopped giving them numbers out of 10 already. So this is
we
great.
stopped.
This has really been a successful segment.
It's probably harder than we thought. Quickly, Dinesh Karthik, again, for me, like 100%. Deepak Hooda and Dinesh Karthik are the two guys who are going to be in the squad who I wouldn't have put 3 months ago.
Yeah, I think Dinesh is even ahead of Deepak. Like, I think he's such a niche
playing
role.
11 type.
Yeah, such a niche role as a finisher that you can't, it's very difficult to overlook him.
And is Nidha sponsoring the Asia Cup this
year?
Man,
I hope so, because if they are, it'll be unbelievable.
If they're not, this is a call for them, man. Like, come on, get down there, sponsor the Asia Cup.
I don't even know what they make or who they're like. What is their business?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The Nidhas trophy. What do they make very quickly?
I don't know. I looked up Nidhas and it's all about cricket. Maybe it was just the name of maybe it's not as sponsored. Maybe it's like something to do with Sri Lankan cricket. But anyway.
Okay. All right. Then cool. Let's very quickly run through the bowlers. Unfortunately, bowlers always get less time on this podcast. But I think, Ashwin, between
Nidhas is a Sinhalese word for freedom. So we thought it was like Paytm, but it's a freedom series. All right.
That's what happens when you're from India. You're so
it's a sponsorship.
Brainwashed with sponsorship and money that Nidhas means freedom. Okay, that's nice. So let's assume Bumrah and Bumrah, Chahal, Harshal are part of your playing 11. I read somewhere that Mohammad Shami has been overlooked for T20s because they've kind of said, we want you to just hone your skills in tests and ODI. So that's why since the 2021 World Cup, he's played only one T20. I don't see him in the mix of things because of this. Very quickly, Bhuvi, Avesh Khan and Arshdeep Singh. Give me your take very quickly on them. I think experience versus inexperience.
I think Bhuvi gets to stay close to the squad or travel because of experience and slight ability with the bat. I think Avesh will also be close but misses out, and Arshdeep I think makes it because he's just unbelievably accurate and lefty gives him a unique differentiator. So for me, Arshdeep is slightly ahead of the other two, then Bhuvi, then Avesh.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, absolutely same for me. I think every time Rohit threw the ball to Ashdeep, he delivered exactly what he wanted. I watched an over. I can't remember who the batsman was. Probably the opening over where the ball went in, the ball went out, the ball was a Yorker. It was fantastic. So I think again, so my third wild card is basically Ashdeep. That's what I was coming to.
Yeah.
I think Avesh will miss out, and then obviously there are fringe bowlers like Kuldeep, Ravi Bishnoi, who have done no wrong. I mean, look at yesterday's game, 4 wickets each. But just it's great to give them match practice. But I think at this point they don't make it to the squad. But keep an eye out for Ravi Bishnoi. So there you have it. We've run through a report card and we've basically given Rohit Sharma 8 on 10, and forgot to score anyone else. And Ashwin, of course, gave Sky 1 on 10 for the ODIs. But that's a wrap this week, guys. We've got a lot of cricket coming up. I'm pretty sure by the time we record next, the Asia Cup squad will be out. So let's go through and see how many we got right, how many we got wrong. The India-Zimbabwe ODI tour is going to be on, where Shikhar Dhawan is going to be leading the boys for what should be a fun series because Zimbabwe is playing Bangladesh right now, and I think they've won, and Sikandar Raza has really done really well. So it brings back memories of the 90s versus Zimbabwe, but stay tuned. We will cover some of that and the Asia Cup in our next couple of episodes. Thank you, Ashwin. This has been a fun episode.
Yeah, it's been great. Good to get time with you. I know life is busy right now, and for everybody else, thank you all for tuning in. As always, at One Tip One Hand on all the social medias, please leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and we will be back next week to talk more about the world of cricket. Thank you.